Hey, Brad.
Bear, what are we doing out here today?
Replacing the air conditioner because it is hot in Georgia.
And it is hot out here. So what's going on with the air conditioning?
All right, so it's freezing up after about an hour or so, either on high or low. And through some of my testing and consulting with my dad, who is actually an HVAC technician by certification, not currently trade. And we just ran some what we would call good old boy tests to just determine that it's got a leak. And on these units, there's no way to reasonably or practically, there's no way to just patch the leak, refill it, and move on. The cost of having a legitimate licensed professional do that is as much as the units are. And so the only thing you really do with these when it comes to this is replace the unit.
Okay, so we're not going to replace the whole unit today. You found something out there in the old interwebs, didn't you?
I did. So yeah, on campers like this, the roof mounts like what I have, there is really two main components. There is the actual upper main unit that really contains everything in the system, and then on the inside here is the controller. So you've got some bigger rigs, you've got the ductwork and those kind of things. You got a traditional thermostat, which you would see in a house. This is really just more of vents and then control knobs on it, and so that's the inside accessory, or the lower accessory. And so everything else, though, the actual whole air conditioner that has the fan, the coils, the compressor, the capacitors, all that is actually in that upper unit. So all that does get replaced.
So you found somebody was selling just the top, not the bottom.
Yeah.
How in the world did you do that?
So the old Facebook, the old face space, if you would say. So Facebook found, and some of the wording I looked for was someone who was upgrading, which meant they were going to keep the inside lower unit of theirs and they were just changing the top. And there's a couple different reasons people would do that. They want a higher BTU, more output on their unit than what theirs currently has. Or some of these, like this one, doesn't have a heat pump included in it. It has a separate heating system. And so some people want that heat pump additional in their unit to help offset the propane heat that is in most of these setups. And so the guy that I found, that was his thing. He was going to something that had higher BTU and had the heat pump in it. And so that meant the upper unit still functioned perfectly. He was just looking to upgrade.
Right.
And so that's where it's not just some Joe Schmo that just ripped it off of some salvage camper somewhere and doesn't know if it runs or not. This guy, when I talked to him, it had been off his camper for 4 months, and 4 months ago it was working perfectly, and he was just upgrading. So.
Great. And so part of the reason we're over here is we've got the tractor with the forklift, and we thought we'd get up there. Might be a little easier and try to fight this thing up the level with a ladder, and we'll use technology to our advantage. So the goal is going to be to try to get that off, get it down, get the new one up there without breaking it, get it all reconnected without burning the whole trailer down.
That is the goal.
And then see how it goes, right?
Yep.
All right, so come along on the journey, and let's see if we can get this thing fixed practically.
All right, so I've already got some of this off because I was doing some testing and those kind of things, so we're just going to finish it off. There's 4 screws that hold this lower accessory unit on, and then there's actually just 4 bolts that hold the AC on, which is maybe a little scary, but that's how they're all made, just 4 bolts, and then you just break the seal and it's good to go. So let's get out. All right, this should go without saying, but the world we live in, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, because the $2 that I have, I don't need you to take it from me in a lawsuit. But before you touch any of this, make sure it's not hooked to the actual shore power. This is full, 110 power that can hurt you real bad. So make sure that's unplugged. Even turn the breaker off to it before you work on any of this, just in case you have any power bleed over or somewhere like that.
Right, because you got those capacitors in there which have the potential to hold energy.
They do. This has been unplugged for a while. It's currently unplugged, so no issues. Sorry, our camera had a glitch, but we were able to get this still shot right here. So once you take the control unit down and then you take those 4 long bolts off, it's just push up from underneath like you see here, break that seal of the gasket, and then it's time to go on top, start working up there.
that down anywhere.
You know, wherever's convenient. You know, the whole point of screws is that you got to spend a 10-minute time hunting for them and then never find it, and then have to go get a replacement or just say, that'll do. All right, we're just going to carefully do this without falling off or damaging my awning. On here. All right, I think it's good. All right, so this is the gasket that is on here that needs to be replaced when you replace these, because this gets pressured down, and it's what seals and keeps the water from pouring into the camper and those kind of things. And also the bolts that go in are what pull this down and pressure this against the top of the camper. And so this has already been compressed, and once this is pressed for as long as they are, they don't just like whoop, pop back out. So I bought the kit to get replacement for that. So we're going to take and scrape this off, clean the area, make sure it's good so it sticks. The other thing that'll be hard to show you later, so I'll show you now, is these little tabs. You can see them on here and see how it's already pretty much the level that this is. When this goes on later, we'll put this on, you see how there's a gap there. When you're taking the bolts down to pressure and seal this, when this gets pressured down enough that it's even with that is when you know you've sealed it right and you've got the bolts in. That's how you know it's tight like it needs to be to seal and all that. You don't want to overdo it or not do it enough. All right, so I'm just using a paint scraper to get this off initially, and then I'll use it also to kind of clean up the area. You don't have to be too gentle with it. Just get it off here. I'm sure there's going to be some like actual like RV pro, repair pro that's going to be like, you're doing this wrong.
He's probably having a heart attack right now.
Probably so, but hey, let us know how we should have done it differently down in the comments below. Appreciate the feedback. So here we are going to put the new gasket on, try to re-center it exactly where the other was before. Most of these are standard 14 by 14. That's what this is. Going to get this on here and get it sealed back up, and then we're going to get this on the roof and get it installed. All right, so you actually can see it in here. You see this white tab. Get the focus on right. This white tab is the ones I was saying that'll be the marker. You see there's a gap right here below it in the roof. So we're about to tighten down these bolts, and we're going to keep tightening them down until this squeezes down where that white tab right there just touches the roof on all 4 spots that it is, and then you'll know that it's sealed down like it's supposed to and even across. You'll start to see this one right here as I tighten this down. See it pulling down. So we're just going to keep working them all until that gets pulled all the way down and they're all even across. project done, air conditioner installed, air conditioner working.
I mean,
Good.
that went much better than it could have. You know, we didn't dump it off the forklift. We didn't drop off. We didn't fall off,
which is always bear is a ground bear, not an air bear, and so or a care bear maybe. Well, I do care about people. Anyway, project done. Here's the thing about this: I am not an RV technician. Brad is not an RV technician unless he's been holding out on me on this. And this really was not a complicated process. I had watched a couple other guys do some installs that gave me some heads up on this, but it is definitely something if you want to just upgrade your air conditioner on your RV, or if you have an issue with yours and need to replace it, you can do it yourself and not pay the professional to do it if you want to, right? Like there are times to save money, times to just want to, like for me, it was money saving, but also I just like tinkering with things.
Sure. I mean, honestly, we could have done a complete swap of that AC as long as it fit inside that hole with no issues, and honestly could have cut the hole pretty easily too. The one kind of scare we got out of this is when we put it on, we decided we'd run it and test it before we really snug it down, and it didn't get super cold. But we both got to thinking probably it was sucking in some warm air. It didn't have that seal. And so we went ahead, sucked it down, turned it on. We let it run, 5 or so minutes. It's ice cold now. So, if you're doing this, just take into account if the seal's not down and everything, it may not run as cold as you think it should. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have a problem.
We did phone a friend. Like I mentioned earlier, my dad being an HVAC technician, I got to thinking I had to turn this thing on its side. And as you saw, to take the old seal off, put the new seal on. And I went, I know from college days that mini fridges, if you travel with them on their side, you got to stand them upright for a while.
From college days.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before you turn it back on so it doesn't burn the compressor up so the oil and all that can get settled back in. And so I was like, I bet this is similar, but before we get crazy, let me phone a friend. So I called Dad and he was like, yeah, if you've had it on its side for about 30 minutes, which we did, he's like, give it about an hour before you do it just to let everything settle so you don't burn anything up. And thankfully, it was all good.
I mean, when you check the box, you're going to have some cool camping days ahead, which is great because we're in the dog days of summer down here in Georgia. While we're not Florida, maybe not Texas, it's hot. We're going to hit 100 degrees next week, it looks like. So good time to have this running.
Sweet. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you've had a similar project or you have some questions that we didn't answer in this, feel free to bloop it down in the comments. Let us know or ask the questions. If we can't find the answers, we might know some people who can or help you find it. Those kind of things. So let us know.
And we're not afraid to say, I don't know.
Yep.
Right?
There's a lot I don't know.
Yeah. So make sure to like and subscribe. As always, thanks so much for following us on the journey, for all of your support. And we'll be back with another video soon.